If the walls could speak, they will tell startling tales of addiction, desperation, and madness, of loneliness, love, and regret, of triumph, disappointment, and maybe even death. Tales that the tourists posing prettily beneath the "Welcome to the Fabulous Las Vegas" sign would never ever believe. This quote is from Matthew O'Brien, the reporter who first shed the light on the tunnel people of Las Vegas, Nevada. As someone who's lived in Las Vegas my whole life, I wasn't aware of the hundreds and thousands of people living under the flood channels underground. It's important for people to live in Las Vegas to understand the people who live in these tunnels and what caused them to choose the life they live. Today I'll talk about how the tunnel people were discovered and what life is like in the tunnels. Prior to April 14, 2002, no one really knew what was hidden beneath the streets of Las Vegas. A murderer on the run was being chased by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for the murder of his girlfriend and son. While on the run, he disappeared for some time and was found out that he hid from police underground. This will pique the interest of a local journalist. Matthew O'Brien wrote for Las Vegas City Life, a local newspaper. Curious about the manhunt of the murderer, he wanted to know more about the tunnels that he hid in. That same year, O'Brien began to explore the flood channels and wrote 2 articles about the discovery down below. These 2 articles led to the creation of his book called Beneath the Neon, Life and Death in the Tunnels of Las Vegas in 2007. In the book, O'Brien shares the experience of going through the drains and the people that live down there. From O'Brien discoveries, the more people finally came to light in the local people of Las Vegas. So, who are these people? Why do they live there? And what is it like? Living in the tunnels, it's hard because it is dark, scary, cold, and wet. The mole people not only share space with other people, but with spiders, roaches, and even a crawfish. In his book, Brian explains how the crawfish came from Lake Mead and lived in the waters in the wetter parts of the tunnels. The most dangerous part of living in the tunnels came from flash floods of drainage basins in town. Though it doesn't rain often, the flash flood destroys most of the homeless homes and even taking lives. Fusion, a YouTube channel, went to the tunnels with Matthew O'Brien, the author of Beneath the Neon. The narrator, Brian Braley, is surprised at how people live in the flood channels and the reasons why they are there. Braley stayed the night to experience what it's like to live down there, and the entire night he was scared, cold, and afraid of being attacked. Living in the channels, it was a very dangerous and hard life. The tunnel people are very possessive of their camps and turf and will attack if startled. There were a variety of camps. Some had very elaborate setups, like they have beds and couches, and most of them have tents and mats. Most were set on crates to allow water to pass through under their belongings so they won't get wet. People from all lifestyles live down here, from druggies and gamblers to people just out of lady luck. Most of the interviews conducted by Braley and O'Brien, the tunnel's homeless said their living arrangements were only temporary, but even though some of them lived for years down there. One person Braley and O'Brien met was Jessica. She lived in the tunnels so police and security won't bother her. Police do not go down there because they're afraid of ricochets from their bullets. They do come down to warn the flash floods. Jessica says Jessica only is living down there temporarily and wants to go back home to Kansas where her daughter lives. Another person is John. Matthew Graham of Tap News interviewed John and found out that he was a well-to-do father with a wife and kids. And once the kids went off to college, he packed his bag, left everything to his wife, and moved to Vegas. He says it is still the best decision of his life, and one thing he loves about Vegas is that everyone lies. It may be difficult to understand why some people could choose this life, but because of Brian, we are given a lens into what goes on in the storm drains. O'Brien has dedicated his past few years not only helping people understand the more people, but to help them as well. He often goes down to the tunnel with supplies and even started a nonprofit called Shine a Light to help the homeless in the tunnels reintegrate into societies. In Las Vegas, it is important to know about all the different types of people who live here and understand how these tunnel people live. People from all backgrounds live homeless in the channels, not just druggies and gamblers. So next time you're on the strip, remember that not only that there are people around you, there are also people under you.